swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You can have a seat right there and note you. And then you need to pull that microphone down in front of you and make sure it's pointed right at your mouth. And then, even though there is a microphone there, you can move the top of it. There you go. Even though there's a microphone there, you have to remember to project your voice when you speak, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning.
Morning.
Please tell us your full name, spell your last name.
Anne Marie H. Cuzio, K-U-Z-I-O.
And you go by Anne or Anne Marie?
A lot of people call me Anne.
Okay. All right, Anne, can you tell us how old you are?
34.
And what area of town do you presently live in?
Silver Lake.
And how long have you lived in the Silver Lake area?
About 2 years.
And with whom do you live in the Silver Lake area?
My boyfriend,
And what is his name?
Ravon Wilson.
And you, is a boyfriend who lives with you, is that correct?
Yes.
And how long have the two of you been together in a relationship?
October will be 4 years.
In October, it'll be 4 years?
Yes.
Have you always lived in the Silver Lake area?
No, we actually lived, in Cuyahoga Falls. And prior to that, I lived on Brooklyn's East Akron.
Have you always lived your whole life in the Summit County, Akron area?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And what school did you go to, high school?
Norton High School.
Did you graduate from Norton?
I did.
And did you have an opportunity to work at a place called Papa Don's?
Yes.
And can you tell us approximately when that occurred and what you did at Papa Don's?
It was about 3 to 4 years ago. I was a bartender server.
And how long did you work there?
About a year.
And do you recall why you stopped working at that time?
At that time, my mom was sick and she had passed away, and it was a little too much for me at that point.
After working there, did you still have a connection to Papa Don's?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
We were frequent regulars there. We'd go there for sports events, go there just to visit, eat.
And when you say we, who are you referring to?
Me and my boyfriend, Ravon.
And was there a period of time where you lived close to Papa Don's?
Yes.
And when was that?
Around the time that I worked there. It's about 3 to 4 years ago.
And how far away from Papa Don's did you live at that time?
Probably 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes.
And do you know of an individual by the name of Tiffany Miller?
Yes.
And how do you know that individual?
I actually worked with her at Johnny J's. I believe I worked there almost 5 years ago. And then we've just always known each other from going in there and hanging out at Johnny J's.
And Johnny J's is what type of establishment?
Bar, food.
Were you a bartender there as
Yes.
well? So you knew Tiffany Miller from Johnny J's. Did you continue to have interactions and a relationship with her after you left Johnny J's?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Like I said, we would go to Browns games together, tailgate. She was then working at Papa Don's, and that's why we went in Papa Don's to come and see her.
Was she your boss at Papa Don's?
Yes, manager, boss.
Okay. Did you know an individual by the name of Justin Winebrenner?
I did.
And how did you know him?
I met him through an ex-boyfriend back in high school.
During your high school years?
Mm-hmm.
And did you happen to see him or get to know him even after high school?
Yeah, I would randomly run into him different places, more of an acquaintance back then. I knew him better once him and Tiffany started dating. They would go tailgating with us, and we would randomly see him also at, like, when we go to Papa Don's to go watch sports and hang out.
Let me then take you to the fall, probably the summer of the fall of 2014, and can you describe to us how often you would go to Papa Don's?
We were in there at least, for sure, every weekend, and sometimes once or twice during the week as well.
When you say we, are you referring to you or Ravon again?
Yes.
And during that time, would you see Tiffany?
Yep.
And would you see Justin during those times?
Sometimes if he wasn't working, he'd be in there.
You talked about doing some things socially. Did that also involve Justin Winebrenner?
Yes.
Outside the bar?
When we would go to Browns games, we'd tailgate. They were over at our house for Halloween.
As far as when you would go to Papa Don's, you said once or twice a week, did you see other people there on a regular basis?
Yes.
What about off-duty police officers? Did you see them at Papa Don's?
Yes.
Would you see them on a regular basis?
Yes and no. I don't really recall.
In regards to Justin Winebrenner, were you aware that he was a police officer?
Yes.
And were you aware of whether other police officers regularly frequented Papa Don's on a regular basis?
No.
What about other patrons there that you would see on a regular basis? Were they all aware that Justin Winebrenner was a police officer as well?
I believe so.
And do you know why that would be or how that would be?
I don't.
And I'm going to take you then to Saturday evening, November 15, 2014. Did you have to go to Papa Don's that evening?
Yes.
And where is Papa Don's located?
On Market Street?
And that's in Akron?
Yes.
In Summit County, Ohio?
Yes.
And can you tell us who you were with and what events led up to you going to Papa Don's that evening?
I was with my boyfriend, Ravon, one of my best friends, Chad, and we were also with another gentleman, Michael
And do you know Chad's last name?
Sprague,
And do you know Michael's last name?
Bennett.
Ben? And what were you doing prior to going to Papa Don's?
We were all just hanging out, getting ready we were all supposed to go tailgating the next day, and just decided to head down there for a couple drinks and just to go see Tiffany, like we always did.
So when you were hanging out, where were you hanging out prior to going to Papa Don's?
We were at my house,
And it was Spring Lake?
Silver Lake.
Silver Lake, I'm sorry. And when you said you were planning to go to the tailgate the next day, what tailgate are you referring to?
The Browns game.
And who else was going to go with you?
It was the people that I was with, Ravon, Chad, Mike, and then we always met up with Tiffany and Justin and then a bunch of other group of people.
Was there kind of a planned trip that happened at Browns games and involved Papa Don's for some of the home games?
Yeah.
And what did that all involve?
I never went on any of those ones.
Okay. Was there a bus or something like that that would take people from
Yes.
Papa Don's to Browns games? All right, so the four of you go to Papa Don's. Prior to going to Papa Don's, were you drinking at your house?
Drink a lot, yeah.
Do you remember how much you were drinking or what you were drinking?
Beer. I couldn't tell you how many that either of us had.
Do you recall approximately what time you would arrive at Papa Don's?
I believe it was around 11:30.
And tell us what happened when you got to Papa Don's.
When we got there, we sat down at the long table, just all hanging out, having fun. I was going back and forth, and they had like a smoking area, so I would go back and forth. I then went to the opposite side of the bar where the office is located.
And let me stop you there. Let's put some reference into some of what you told us there. There's a nice large diagram here to your left, which I marked for the record. It's exhibit number 5.
Do we know where the pointer went?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
over
okay.
here.
All right.
I'm going to pull it closer to you. See that?
Mhm.
Okay.
You do have to answer yes or no. You can't say
Yes.
All right, thanks.
You get a pointer, all right. Do you recognize things exhibit 5?
Yes.
What do you recognize that to be?
We are, it's
Now,
Papa John's.
First of all, it's Papa John's.
Papa John's.
And that's kind of a diagram of the Papa John's, both inside and outside?
Yes,
And does it appear to be fairly accurate?
yes.
So you indicated that when you came in, you all sat at the table?
Mhm.
And
Yes.
Can you, that's your ability to point to the table that you're referring to?
We were right here at this long table.
And that would include you,
Chad, Mike, and my boyfriend Ron.
and you started telling us about that at some point you walked, well, first of all, you mentioned about going to smoke.
Yes,
smoke
which
area.
is-
Where would that be?
Over here, back through here.
And is there an area there, is that area marked as patio?
Yes.
And what, can you describe that area for us?
It's just a large patio. It's got chairs and tables.
Is it actually outside?
Yeah, they have windows that open up that are, you can close for the winter, and then they open them in the summer.
And you started telling us about at one point you headed to the other side of the bar, is that correct?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
That would be over here. I met up with two other friends that I knew that were regulars in there.
And the bar is kind of an L shape, would you agree with me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And describing as to what part of the L you walked to and started talking with friends,
I was more over here.
the bottom of the L.
Yeah, closer to the entrance of the bar.
And you remember the two friends that you were talking with?
Their first name's Lou, is what he goes by, and DJ.
You remember their full names or just know them as Lou and DJ?
Yeah.
And what happened next?
We were all just sitting there hanging out, talking, and I happened to, I believe we were gonna try to order, we were just gonna order drinks. And when I looked over, this person sitting right here was very aggressive at trying to get my attention to come over and talk to him.
When you say the person over there, I know you're trying to point as far as you can from that position. Approximately how many seats in from the end of the bar would you approximate he was sitting?
Probably 4.
So he was not at the very end? He was
No.
at the very least a couple seats in.
Correct.
And you were standing over near the bottom of the L, the end of the L, correct?
Yes.
And what did this individual look like?
This man sitting right here,
Okay, when you say this man, can you tell me what he was wearing?
a black suit.
And did you come to know his name after that date?
After that date,
After that date?
Yes.
And what was that individual's name?
Kenan Ivery.
Prior to that date, were you familiar with Kenan Ivery? Had you ever seen him or had any interactions prior to that evening?
No.
So you're standing there, is he seated in his bar seat?
Yes.
And what do you recall, you indicated that he was aggressive. Did he start speaking to you first or did you say anything to him?
No, he spoke to me first.
And generally, what type of things was he saying to you?
He just kept wanting me to come over there and talk to him. And I explained, I was like, no, I'm cool. And I said I had a boyfriend. He just kept saying, come over here. And I then pointed at my boyfriend and I was like, he's standing right over there. And that's when he kind of got up out of his seat a little bit and he said, I don't care, I have a 40.
When he said, I have a 40, what did you believe he was referring to? Or did you know?
We were in a bar. I was assuming beer. I have no clue what he was talking about.
How long did the conversation, or how long did he talk to you for, would you estimate?
Probably 3 to 4 minutes.
And was the nature pretty much as you described, him trying to convince you to come over to where he was sitting?
Yes.
When you told him no, he said, that's all right, I have 40. How do you feel at that point?
Well, I pointed at my boyfriend and said I had a boyfriend, and he said he didn't care. He had a 40. At that point, it creeped me out. It made me nervous, and that's when I walked behind the bar instead of walking around the bar back to my seat.
And so you walk behind the bar, and where did you go?
Right over to my boyfriend sitting right here.
And what happened over there?
I told my boyfriend how aggressive I felt that he was being, and that it made me nervous. And that's when I saw Tiffany, and I let her know the same thing. And almost immediately when when Kenan saw me talking to Tiffany, he came over to our table.
So you came over to the table, you talked to her mom, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Talked to Tiffany,
Yes.
and told them what had just occurred.
Correct.
When Kenan Ivery comes over, what occurs then?
He comes over very quickly, and he's stating that he doesn't even know me. And that's when I believe Tiffany was sitting there trying to like calm him down, because he again was being very aggressive. And she, at one point I'm sorry.
Let me ask you, when you say he's being very aggressive, how would you describe his demeanor at that time when he approaches you, Ravon, and Tiffany over at those tables?
He's angry.
And how did you know he was angry?
You could tell by the way that his body features, he kept just going like this. Tiffany tried to calm him down. He backed up and said, "Don't fucking touch me." And
What was the tone of his voice?
loud.
And he indicated that at one point you heard him say, "Don't fucking touch me" to Tiffany?
Yes.
What happened next?
He looked at me and my boyfriend, Ravon, and walked away and said, "And by the way, these diamonds are real." And then he walked away.
As far as, and you did some point, was there any talk up to that point about his earrings that you had with him?
No.
Was that the first reference he had made to earrings?
Yeah.
And you showed us that he actually was pointing towards his head or towards his ear.
Yes.
And he said these earrings were real.
Yes.
Did you or Ravon respond to anyone at that point?
No.
And I'm going to first show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 6, and ask you if you're able to identify that exhibit.
Yes.
And what do you identify that exhibit to be?
Me running behind the bar.
And so that's a photograph, correct? Or I guess a still image
Still
from a
image.
video?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that's the inside of Papa Don's.
Correct.
And can you indicate, is there a time stamp on there?
It looks like 134,
134, does it even give you the seconds at the end?
50.
134.50. And is that the time that you just described when you walked behind the bar to rejoin Ravon at his table?
Yes.
Does that still truly accurately depict that moment?
Yes.
And does that still actually have an identifying marker identifying you with your name?
Yes.
And I'm going to present to you State's Exhibit number 7. If you're able to identify that photograph or that still.
Yes.
And what do you identify that still to be?
Kenan and Tiffany.
And once again, it's a portion of Papa Don's that evening.
Yes.
And does that truly and accurately depict what occurred that evening?
Yes.
And in regards to that State's Exhibit 7, does that have a time stamp?
135:56.
For the benefit of the jury, then we put that on the docket cam. And again, Ann, what are we seeing here?
That's me running behind the bar.
And what were you wearing then?
I had jeans, like dark blue jeans, tall boots, a gray shirt, and a hooded vest.
And who else do you recognize in that photograph?
I recognize Ravon, Chad, and Mike.
And those would be the individuals all still seated at the table?
Yes.
And do you recognize anyone else?
From this view, I can't tell.
Okay. Putting on State's Exhibit 7 then? Tell us again what we're seeing here for the benefit of the jury.
That is Tiffany and Kenan.
And when was this occurring in regards to your previous testimony?
This was right after he came over, told me he had 40, and then I went behind the bar. It happened right after that.
Now, you indicated that Kenan was being loud, that he was mad. What was Tiffany's demeanor, if you recall?
Calm, just trying to calm him down, trying to figure out what was going on.
After Kenan Ivery indicated that his hearings were real, what happened next?
I don't recall. I know that he walked away, and then that's the last that I saw until he came back into the building.
So he walked away. In which direction did he walk away?
Back towards where he was sitting.
And with whom did he walk away?
I don't recall.
I don't recall. As far as Tiffany, do you know what she did after that comment?
No.
The period of time from that until you indicated he returned, generally, do you recall what you were doing during
I was
that time?
outside smoking on the patio.
So you'd gone to that patio and smoked a cigarette. When you came back in, what do you recall happening?
I believe we were still sitting at that table, and he walked back in. We had walked over, and it was me, Tiffany, Dave, and my friend Chad.
And so Dave, we haven't heard his name before in testimony. Do you know Dave's last name?
Can't pronounce it correctly. Watica, I think.
Well, Katie.
Katie.
Dave's name?
Big Dave.
Big Dave. And had you seen him in the bar earlier that evening?
Yes.
And were you familiar with Big Dave prior to that evening?
Yes.
How did you know him?
Just frequently being in there.
As far as then, we have you, Big Dave, Chad, and Tiffany when Kenan Ivery returned.
Correct.
And tell us what you recall happening at that point.
When he walked back in, Dave looked at him and said, "Don't ever touch her or speak to her ever again." And I was trying, me and Tiffany, I believe, were trying to just calm Dave down and just tell him, to just let it go. And that's when Ravon was calling me back over to the table. And then everything just happened really quickly right after that.
So you specifically remember Big Dave saying to Kenan, "Don't ever talk to her again. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember, would he raise his voice, or if you recall?
He's a big guy. To me, his voice was always
Loud?
loud. Yeah, I don't think he was trying to be, I just think he was trying to calm the situation down.
In regards to, is he the only one who said anything, or were other people talking at that
I
time?
don't recall.
You said Ravon was calling you over though at that time.
At that time, yes.
And did you listen to him and start heading towards in his direction?
Not at first. That's when things kind of got even more loud. I don't know exactly what was said, but both voices were rising between Dave and Kenan, and that's when Ravon called me over, and minutes later is when Justin went over there.
Justin Winebrenner?
Yes,
Now, did you see Justin go over there?
vaguely.
Tell us, to the best of your memory, what do you recall seeing?
I had no clue that he had a gun on him at all.
He being,
Kenan,
you had not seen a gun at all to that point?
no,
Even when Big Dave and him are talking?
correct. I just know that there was a scuffle, and me and Chad were being called over by my boyfriend Ravon, and within seconds there was gunfire, and everybody just went to the ground, and it was just, everybody was everywhere at that point.
As far as the positioning of everybody when there's gunfire, do you have a specific memory? I understand it happened extremely fast, but do you have any memory of specifically where everybody is?
I was closest to the table. Chad was a little bit in front of me, closer to Kenan. Big Dave was more towards, like almost like in the front. And I know Justin was like directly in front of Kenan.
As far as Justin Winebrenner, how long have you been in the bar?
From what I recall, they might have been there maybe a half an hour, maybe.
Had you interacted with him, talked with him at all?
We said hi.
Anything more than hi?
No.
Had you've indicated you saw Justin in the bar on previous occasions. Had you ever seen Justin get involved with a patron or any way help as a so-called security for the bar?
No.
So you hear shots being fired, but let me take this back one step as well. In regards to the conversation that's going on, do you have any recollection of a conversation as to why Kenan Ivery returned?
Why he had returned?
Correct.
No.
Do you recall any discussion of him leaving something or wanting anything in the bar?
No.
So you hear gunshots, and what do you recall happening next?
My boyfriend Ravon he pulled me back, and I know that I was worried about Tiffany, and because she was underneath the table, and everybody was just screaming, "There's gunfire!" And I didn't even know what gunfire sounded like.
And what happened next?
I got pulled back over towards by the jukebox, which is over by the patio.
And then what happened?
It was just like mayhem. I don't know. I went to, again, check to see if Tiff was okay, and I walked back towards the office where I was standing, and that's when I saw Big Dave on the ground, bleeding, and I went in to ask Tiffany if there was anything that I could do, and she just said that she wasn't even sure if Justin was alive or not, and at that point, the cops and everybody had already been there.
When you saw Big Dave on the ground, was anybody caring for him or trying to help him?
Yeah, I know Tiffany had went over there at one point. When I went in to see her, he was still there. Somebody was caring for him. I don't know who.
And did you ever go outside the bar?
No.
Did you ever see Justin again?
No.
Have you had a chance to see the surveillance video from the bar?
Have I?
Yes, have you? And does that truly and accurately depict the events that you just told us about?
Yes.
May we approach them?
Do you need Kelly? Do you need Kelly?
Yeah.
Well, it's in front of you, but it's also going to require the alternate jurors to go to the back. Yeah, I can put up some C's, we might just maybe need to see two. It's fine.
Okay, we're going to put a screen up, and we're going to put it up here. And because we understand we want to see the video more clearly if possible, we're going to ask our two alternates on the outside to move down next to, basically in front of the bar there. So if I could have you slide over one, the two of you slide over one, and then we'll move there. So if I could have the two of you, Mr. Weissman and tell me the last name again.
Want this in front of the gate?
Yeah, just while we're watching this video, okay? And then if the two of you would move so we can get the screen. No, you, sir. Right, we just need that extra space there. All right, thank you. Are you gonna have her step down?
I will, Judge.
All right, here's the microphone.
I'm gonna need a couple minutes to get that.
You can take a little stand up and
Just
stand there.
right. Well, the jurors see that, see the screen. Yeah, I'm gonna have you come down here then.
Do you want me to dim the lights?
If you could, that'd be great. I'm not gonna stand over on that side right now, we're gonna play it up. Come over here. For the record, the disc containing camera 4 is State's Exhibit number 4. And this is the very beginning of State's Exhibit 4. And can you point out, and you can grab the pointer if you need, as to who we see here right at the beginning.
Can you hold that microphone in your hand while you talk?
This is Ravon, my boyfriend. Michael Bennett. Lou, I don't know his last name. I believe this is Dave. I'm not sure of his last name either. And this is Courtney, the bartender.
And we don't see you in this picture, is that correct?
Correct.
What is the time stamp of the beginning of Stacy's number?
It is 1457.
Okay, so 12/14/57. I'm going to start the video here at 1:30 a.m. Video specifically at 1:29:40. And can you identify anyone else that is now in the picture that you did not point out before?
I'm standing right here. This is Big Dave, my friend Chad, Tiffany, and I believe that is Jeff Shields, I believe. And I also believe that that's Kenan Ivery.
Point again to where Kenan Ivery is sitting. And the individual move, what kind of hat does he have on?
I can't clearly tell. I believe it's a beanie.
I'm going to play it at this time then. what are you doing now?
Running back over my board with on.
What happened yesterday?
He's telling us his values are real.
You touched up?
Yep.
The right side of the
Yes.
roof?
Yes.
You indicate that you go out to the patio, is that correct?
I believe I did, yes.
And I'm going to fast forward here to about 1:51:30. Based on this view, where is the patio?
Right here.
Kind of view is almost from the patio, patio going.
Looking in, yes.
See you here now, where you're here.
Yes, right here.
You saw who you were with on the patio?
My friend Chad right there.
Who's Chad wearing?
He had on, I think it was just a hoodie and like a black leather jacket.
What are you doing now?
I believe I went to the rush or talking with Big Dave.
Did you know what was going on in the bottom part of the screen?
Yes, I know this gentleman here, Brandon. I worked with him years back when I worked at Sam's Club.
Okay.
He was a little intoxicated, so they were trying to call him a taxi cab. And that's what I was talking to Big Dave about.
Have you actually fallen down on that?
Yes.
And who's talking to him there?
Tiffany, and I didn't know him all that well. I want to say Jeff is his first name.
Okay. And what, did Jeff work at the bar?
Yeah, he was a bar back.
As far as Justin Winebrenner, do you see him at this point?
He is right here. As far as I know, he closed his cab out and they were able to get in the cab. Locked him up, yeah.
Yeah, we heard a voice at one point saying, "Get over here." You remember hearing that voice that night?
Yes.
Who was saying that?
My boyfriend, Ravon Wilson.
The portions of the video that we showed you, that was truly accurately depict the events of that evening.
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Are you gonna wanna ask any questions from this?
I am, but I was probably gonna go to where he would do that first.
Okay, that's fine.
I think I have to move it to see how it is.
What, can you just write it down? Believe it's in place or no? Oh, probably not.
Yeah.
Excuse me, my name is John Brevin, and I'm sure at some point in time you met with the prosecutors in preparation for your testimony, correct?
Yes.
And I'm sure they probably told you that somebody else is going to be asking you questions, correct?
Yes.
And that's me. If at any point in time I ask you a question and you don't understand it, I want you to let me know. I will explain it, rephrase it. It's always important that we're on the same page, okay?
Okay.
All right, fair enough. You had said that prior to this night, you had never seen Mr. Ivery, correct?
Correct.
You had no idea who he was.
No.
And I think your testimony was when you went to Papa Don's fairly frequently, right?
Yes.
A couple of times a week usually?
Yes.
But you were never there when he was there?
I assume not.
Okay. Or at least you never saw him there?
Correct.
All right. Now, we looked at the video, and the video starts at 12:14 a.m. And the video shows that your boyfriend is there. Remember that?
Yes.
So you were there, you were with him, correct?
Yes.
So you were there at 12:14 a.m. too, right? So if this happens at about 1:53, at least you're in the bar drinking for about an hour and a half before this thing happens, correct?
Yes.
And you had said in your direct testimony that prior to that, that prior to that you were drinking at home, correct?
Yes.
So you had been drinking for a majority of the evening?
We had been drinking, but we we've only had maybe, I think, 3 or 4 beers when we were there.
Okay, so you had 3 or 4 beers when you were there, but you said you drank some beer before you got there.
Correct?
Okay. Were you intoxicated?
No.
Were you buzzing?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you remember back on December 1st, going out to the Akron Police Station and giving a videotape statement?
Yes.
And it was at 6:55 p.m. and you talked to Sergeant Litkey, who's that gentleman seated right there,
Yes.
and Lieutenant Dave Witt. You remember that?
Yes.
And that, your statement lasted about 67 minutes. Do you remember giving that statement?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about, I'm kind of going the same order that the prosecutor did. Kenan is sitting, and we'll watch the video later too, just what he did, but Mr. Ivery is sitting 3 or 4 seats down, correct?
Correct.
To the bar. And at some point in time, you and, I call him Shorts guy. This is the only guy in the whole bar that night that's wearing shorts. What's his name?
I know him by Lou.
Lou. So at some point in time, you and Lou are down here, and then you walk to the far end of the bar, correct?
Correct.
And we'll watch the video, but you hug somebody, right?
Yes.
And it appears, and I can't tell because it's so far away, it's kind of hard to see. Is there anything up on that wall that you guys would be pointing to or doing anything with?
They always had signs up on that wall stating either beer specials or some sort of donation thing that they have done. There's always something up there.
Because it looks like in the video, and again, we'll watch it together, but it looks like, at least for the first couple of minutes that you're back there, your back is where Mr. Ivory would be seated. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And in fact, you don't turn around until 1:31:58. So you're back there for a good 2 minutes at least before you even turn back around. And even when you turn back around, you immediately turn back facing the wall. Okay? So at this point in time, when you're back here at the wall, there's no conversation with an aggressive Mr. Ivory, correct?
No, not at that time, no.
Okay. And more time goes by, and then you and Lou kind of go to the corner of the bar here, right?
Correct.
And again, Lou's got the hat and shorts and white shirt, right? Okay. Now, just so I'm clear, you saw the video, correct? That we just showed?
Yes.
Mr. Ivory appears to be leaning back in his chair, right?
Correct.
He is not, well, he never approaches you, correct?
Not out of his chair, no.
Well, let's say when you're back here, he never approaches you.
No.
Never touches you.
No.
In fact, he says, come here, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I think the first contact you have with him is you hear him say, come here, and then you say, who, me?
Correct.
And then he says, yeah, come here, right?
Right.
Is he saying it in a threatening manner?
He's loud about it.
Well, there's a bar full of people. You can hear the music. The music's pretty loud. People are talking. So again, he says, come here. And you say no.
Correct.
And he said, I'll just come here. Right?
He didn't say it like that.
Well, tell me how he said it.
He said, come here. I said, no, I have a boyfriend.
Well, we'll get to that point, because at one point on the video,
I said that more than once.
okay,
I have a
you
boyfriend.
point, and I assume, based on what your statement was to the detective or to Sergeant Litkey, you're pointing to your boyfriend down there, correct? Why did you tell me you have a boyfriend?
Because I didn't want to be bothered by him.
Well, he didn't ask you for a date, did he?
No, but I also
He
have
didn't
a
ask you
boyfriend.
for, he didn't ask you for sex, did he?
I have a boyfriend.
Did he ask, did he say anything suggestive to you?
No.
Did he say anything flirtatious to you?
No.
He said, come here, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe 3.
Okay, and at some point in time, he says to you, I have a 40.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't know what that meant.
Correct.
Now, you know what 40 is a 40-ounce bottle of beer, correct?
Yes.
Are you also aware of the fact that a 40 is also a 40 caliber handgun?
I am.
Okay. So at the time that he said that, you really didn't know what he meant.
Correct.
Okay. Now, you walked down about 134.52 was when you walked behind the bar. So this incident that you call where he's very aggressive occurs over the course of just over a minute, between 1 and 2 minutes, right?
Correct.
And he never gets out and comes at you.
He gets up out of his seat like that.
He leans towards you and he says, I got a 40.
Correct.
Right. But he doesn't, for the most part, when you're talking to him, he's leaned back in his chair. Fair?
Yes.
And at one point, he leans forward and says, I have a 40, correct?
He gets up like
Leans
this.
forward?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which to me is aggressiveness, and that's why I walked behind the bar and over to my boyfriend.
Okay. But again, he never comes over here, correct?
No.
All right. So you walk down there. At that point in time, you tell Tiffany that this guy's being aggressive with you, correct?
I felt that he was being aggressive, yes.
Okay. He said, come here, come here, come here. I have a 40. That's it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You little melodramatic. Anybody ever call you melodramatic?
No.
Okay. You tell Tiffany, you see Kenan and Tiffany go back here where they have a conversation, correct?
Yes.
And again, you stay up front, I think you go out to smoke, but you had no idea what that conversation is, correct?
No.
Okay. You see, well, I don't know, do you see Mr. Ivory finally leave? About
I don't see
1:46?
him. No.
So you don't see him leave?
No.
Right. Now, the video that you just watched, Mr. Ivory comes back in as that Brandon guy is getting let out. They had to cross each other at the doorway, correct?
Correct.
And Brandon had been annoying to you the entire night, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you say that to Sergeant Litkey that you guys used to work together, he just wouldn't leave you alone.
You have to say words as opposed
I'm
to
sorry.
just nod.
Yeah, you have to say yes, sir.
Yes.
He wouldn't leave you alone.
Yes.
And in fact, you told Sergeant Litkey that he was tremendously annoying, correct?
Correct.
All right. But I think you said you feel sorry for him because he had some kind of brain injury.
He does.
Okay. So you never asked Tiffany to get him out of the bar or away from you, correct?
No.
Okay. But at some point in time, Mr. McConaughey kind of tries to help you out and get him away from you, right?
Correct.
And again, that's just because he just bugging the heck out of you, fair?
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about when Mr. Ivory comes back in. When Mr. Ivory comes back in this front door, you are pretty much right in front of him, correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, you do not hear Mr. Ivory say anything, correct?
No.
All right. Now, your testimony was, on direct examination, that you hear Mr. Wakati say, don't ever talk to her or touch her again. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in your statement, your 67-minute statement to Sergeant Litkey, it's 5 minutes and 25 seconds. I'm just going to ask you if you remember saying this. You tell Sergeant Litkey that when Mr. Ivory walks in, Dave Wakati says, is that the guy?
Yes.
So he does say, is that the guy, right? Okay. Then you tell Sergeant Litkey that at that time, Wakati says, and I'm going to quote you, don't ever fucking talk to her or touch her again.
Yes.
Is that what he says?
Yes.
You would agree with me that that is vastly different than what you said on direct examination. Fair?
I must have misunderstood the question.
No, I'm just saying. I'm not trying to say that you're lying. I'm just trying to say that you would agree that it's different, right? Mr. Wakati is aggressive in saying that.
He was loud about it, yes.
Okay. Well, again, he doesn't say it in a nice way. Is that fair?
No, he was loud about it.
Okay. So much so that Tiffany steps in between Mr. Ivory and Mr. Wakati, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, when she steps in, she actually steps towards Mr. Wakati, tries to calm him down, correct? So again, based on what he says, and based on Tiffany's actions, is it fair to say that Mr. Wakati is the one who is taking an aggressive posture when Mr. Ivory walks back through that door?
Yes.
Okay. Have 1 second, Judge. Now, in the video that you just watched, we talked about Mr. Ivory walking in. We talked about Wakati saying, don't you fucking ever talk to her or touch her again. You agree with me, he never touched you, correct? Mr. Ivory never touched you.
No, he did not touch me.
Okay. And we talked about Tiffany stepping in to Mr. Wakati and trying to calm him down, correct?
Correct.
And you just said that Mr. Wakati was the one who was acting in an aggressive fashion, correct?
He was being loud.
Not aggressive.
I didn't find him being aggressive, I just found him being loud. He didn't step at him. He just told him
Told him what?
to never fucking touch or talk to me again. But he didn't come at him and then,
So let me understand this. So to you, when somebody's sitting back and they come up like this and talk to you 10 feet away, that's aggressive? But when somebody says, don't you fucking ever talk to her again, that's not aggressive?
a tone of voice aggressive, yes.
Okay. Well, you would agree with, well, maybe, I don't know, and maybe we won't have to show the video, let's talk a little bit, you just watched it, right?
Yes.
You would agree with me that after Tiffany calms Mr. Wakani down, you hear somebody say, bro, 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 bro. Did you hear that?
No.
You did? Okay. We're probably going to have to play it again, but we'll see. Did you see in that video Mr. Ivory, when he's with Mr. Wakani, with Tiffany in between, take a step back and put his hands up?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. Are we talking about her memory or what she's asked to analyze the video?
Then let's play the video.
Well, let's go sidebar for a minute with Kelly.
yourself, I'm gonna ask you what you recall.
Okay.
Do you recall Mr. Ivory taking a step or two back without saying?
No.
Okay. Do you recall that when Mr. Ivory walks back into the bar at 153, that you were standing right in front of him, correct?
Correct.
And you were standing right next to Tiffany, correct?
Correct.
So is it fair to say that Mr. Ivory's purpose in coming back was to take revenge on the people who kicked him out, namely you and Tiffany? He had an open shot from a couple feet away right at that time, didn't he?
If that's what his intentions were, then yes.
Right, but he didn't shoot at that time, did he?
Not that I recall.
Thank you.
Just a couple questions. In regards to the portion of the evening when you come up behind the bar and start talking to Tiffany, is Mr. Ivory called over or does he come over himself?
He came over on his own.
Okay. Did you call over? You would call to him?
No.
You pointed over there though, correct?
To my boyfriend?
No.
Oh,
Over
I
here,
was-
you pointed over to where Mr. Ivory was sitting?
Yes, to let them know who I thought was being aggressive with me.
And Tiffany didn't say, hey, come over here, I need to talk to you.
No.
And kind of to follow up the question across, he felt that he was being, unfairly pointed out at that time. Is that his demeanor when he came over there?
Yes,
Did he feel like he had done nothing wrong?
I believe so.
And how was he reacting as a total based upon those feelings that he was being pointed out at that time?
He was when he came over there to approach us, he was just like coming at people like
Was he
that.
angry?
Yeah.
So he felt that it was unfairly.
He was still walking up to me when he said, I don't even fucking know her. And he pointed at me and said that.
So much like the questions that were pointed out as to how quick the conversation was, these are reasons why he was angry at
Right.
you at that time, correct?
Correct.
And is he angry just in his voice? What about his body?
His body language was all over the place. He was throwing his arms up, pushing back. He pointed at his earrings, pointed at me. I don't even, like I just said, I don't even know her.
And when then he comes back into the bar, once again, the arguments start almost immediately, correct?
Yes.
And voices are raised immediately?
From what I recall, yes.
Now, at that time, did you know that he had been kicked out prior to returning?
No, I knew he had left. I didn't know that he got kicked out. I knew he was gone.
No further questions.
Just one. So your point of view, Mr. Ivory saying, I don't even fucking know her, is aggressive, angry, but Mr. Wakani saying, don't you ever fucking talk to her or touch her again is not.
His demeanor towards me, Kenan, was very aggressive this way. And from what I recall, Dave was just loud in saying that.
Okay.
Dave's a very big guy.
Anything else, Mr. Bowler?
No further questions?
All right, thanks, ma'am. We're gonna let you step down. You just put this one back down. We're gonna take a break now, ladies and gentlemen. It's almost 11, so we're gonna give you 15 minutes until 11:15. Remind you not to discuss this case amongst yourselves. Permit you to discuss it or anyone to discuss it in your presence. Don't investigate it and don't make any final decisions and transfer all the others. And I believe we can have our alternates go back to their original seats when they come back. All right. All right. Leave those notepads on the chairs.
to do it.